for another album rankings episode here on Metalben's Chronicles. By the way, happy Thursday to everybody out there, yes. And I'm going to keep doing these videos. I know it's not an original concept. These metal album ranking videos have been around on YouTube for a long time. I tried to avoid doing them for the longest time, but then I decided, you know what? I want to do them. It's not original, but it seems like, a lot of people enjoy these kind of videos. Well, today we're going to rank all 12 studio albums by King Diamond. We're going to get right into it. Don't want to make this episode over a half hour long like the Judas Priest episode. Alright, so we're going to start off with number 12. But before we do that, I should mention, as far as the first 4 albums go, I got these Roadrunner reissues from 2003 that were like a 2-album pack, so as you see. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull out the sleeves, and when it comes time to pick between these 4 albums, which I already have it decided anyways, I'll just pull the front cover out for them. Okay, let's get into this ranking video. Alright, first album at number 12. And man, this album is pretty forgettable. It's not a bad album, because to me, I don't think King Diamond really has a bad album. There's just albums that are weaker than others. And Abigail 2: The Revenge. Very forgettable album. I honestly don't remember much on this album. Besides maybe Mansion in Sorrow. It's pretty forgettable. I did listen to a lot back in 2002 when I did first get it. But, yeah. Just kind of forgettable, and I think the production's a bit flat on this one. Okay. Number 11. Ooh. And originally this was probably going to be my number 12. And it seems like this album gets ranked a bit higher when people do these rankings, but I went with 1998's Voodoo. To me, just not a very cohesive album. Not very memorable. Like, I don't remember much on here either, besides the title track, Voodoo. Because honestly, yeah, I know Dimebag Darrell does a guest guitar appearance on it. It's one of King Diamond's most annoying songs. Yeah, I'm just not into this album. Now, getting that era... excuse me here, let me get a drink of coffee. I know in that era, King Diamond was recording with both him on his own, doing the King Diamond thing, and with Merciful Fate. So, he was putting out albums like constantly, between King Diamond and Merciful Fate. You'd get 2 albums a year sometimes, and 1998 was one of those years. Anyways, moving on. Number 10, yeah. Again, kind of a forgettable album. And I think I do agree with Darcy, 6 String 9 Lives. At least I think he's the one that pointed this out. That King's vocals started to sound a bit stranded on this album. I'm talking about Give Me Your Soul Please, the last studio album he did from 2007. Just not memorable either, Like I said, man, the playing's great on these albums. It's just, the songs aren't that memorable, I don't think. So yeah, number 10, Give Me Your Soul Please. And number 9, these almost go in order. This is actually a great album, but yeah, it's my number 9 though. I'm talking about King Diamond's The Puppet Master. I do like this too, where King Diamond's telling the story though. The DVD part, Which, yeah. I got right there, as you see. But that's my number 9. This is actually a great album, you know. Blood to Walk's probably the best track on here, you know. Yeah. Of course, Christmas is pretty memorable. It's a good album, though. This is where the albums start to get a bit more memorable. Number 8. 2000, The House of God, the only album that had Glenn Drover on it from Edelman and formerly of Megadeth. Yeah, the only appearance by Glenn Drover on this album. Very good album. I do like this album. There's some memorable tracks on here, like the title track, House of God. You know, The Trees Have Eyes. Follow the Wolf. It's kind of weird, man. I think this album has more of a Merciful Fate vibe to it than a King Diamond solo type of vibe to it. That's my opinion. Maybe because the subject matter on here has more, or deals with more along the lines of what Merciful Fate would write about. It's a great album, though. I really like it. So, we're up to number 7 already. Like I said, I'm trying not to keep this one too long. A Spider's Lullaby from 1995. First album in 4 years at the time. You know, this is a great album, man. I mean, the opening track, From the Other Side, great track, you know. Room 17's killer. You know, 6 Feet Under's a great track. Let's see, Dreams is really good. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on here. And the thing is, notably, this came out in the 90s, right? You know, when alternative and grunge were taking over the music industry and industrial to an extent, King Diamond just stuck true to his roots, man, and put out a solid heavy metal album, and was putting out solid heavy metal albums throughout the 90s. You know, be it solo or with Merciful Fate. He never strayed away from the true heavy metal sound. You know, where other bands were kind of experimenting with more of an alternative sound or industrial, industrial type of sound. You know, what King Diamond stayed pretty true. Number 6 might be pretty controversial to an extent because a lot of people would probably rank this album around 10 or 11 if I were to guess. And I'm talking about 1996's The Graveyard. Man, I talked about this album on the old channel. I really enjoy this album. I like the storyline to it. Man, Black Hill Sanitarium, just a killer track. I'm trying to think, Waiting's great. Heads on the Wall's a great track. There's some underrated tracks on this album. It's probably maybe King Diamond's longest album. It is a pretty lengthy album. In 1996, again, King Diamond had 2 albums out that year, you know, one with Merciful Fate and one on his own, you know. But yeah, man, just a really good album. And who do you got on guitar here? So you got Herb Simonson on guitar, who I'm not really familiar with. And on drums, Darren Anthony. Okay. Now, a lot of people would consider this King Diamond's weakest lineup. Okay, I get that. That's understandable. You know. But yeah, man, I think it's very underrated. Number 5. Now we're getting into the top 5. Man, oh man, oh man. What is number 5? You know what number 5 is? Okay. Might be controversial, and this is very freaking hard, man, to choose. Because I'm sitting here right now debating on which one should be number 5, you know, to be honest. Ooh. Gonna go with Conspiracy. And it's kind of shocking to me because I thought this would be at least number 3 for me. I was just listening to this the other day, actually, to try to get back into some King Diamond because I haven't listened to a lot of King Diamond in a while, but very good album. Very good album. Like, these next 5 albums are literally perfect albums. And this would be the last album, if I'm right, with Mickey D on drums. Yeah. And Al Pacino's on bass here. Good. Pete Black on guitars. Okay. Yeah, but you got Mickey D on drums. Last album he did with the band. Of course, Mickey D would go on to do Don Dawkins' solo album. And he was in Motorhead for the longest time. Now he's currently in the Scorpions. So yeah, Mickey D is quite well known. And by far one of the best metal drummers ever. The guy can just drum his ass off. But yeah, that's going to be my number 5, I believe. Number 4. Okay. My number 4 is going to be the 1990 album, The Eye. Now this has Snowy Shaw on drums. Snowy Shaw on drums, who would be in Merciful Fate, Dream Evil, and he was in a few other bands. Now, supposedly there's a drum machine on this album. King Diamond denies it. I really don't know. Either or, it doesn't distract the album at all because this is like a perfect freaking album, man. Burn, what a killer track. The opening track, Eye of the Witch. The Trial of Chambry Ardenti. Got some really good tracks on here. 1642 Imprisonment, I believe is the instrumental. What a great instrumental. Insanity, The Meetings. I mean, perfect album. Okay, now we're down to the top 3. Okay. Number 3 is pretty freaking obvious here. It's a little easier now. I'm going to go with Fatal Portrait, the debut album, as number 3. In a way, this could be literally a follow-up to Merciful Fate's Don't Break the Oath. You got half of Merciful Fate in the band because you got, the late great Timmy Hansen on bass. You got Michael Denner from Merciful Fate on guitar, Mickey D on drums, obviously, and Andy LaRocque. He's been with King Diamond all the way from Fatal Portrait all the way up till now, And man, what a great album, Fatal Portrait. Interestingly, the very first track I ever heard was from Fatal Portrait when I first heard King Diamond. It was on a heavy metal compilation cassette tape. Way back when I was like 9 or 10 years old. The track was Dressed in White. I was just fucking blown away. I couldn't believe the guitar playing on that track and that somebody could sing that high. But yeah, that's my number 3. And, okay, we're not going too long here. Number 2. Another tremendous album. Grandma! You get where I'm going here? Them! What a great album, man. Just such a great album. I mean, my goodness. It doesn't get any better than the album Them by King Diamond. Welcome Home. The Invisible Guest, T. Bye-bye, Missy. Twilight Symphony, Coming Home, Phone Call. This is a legendary album, man. I'm sorry, I'm showing the, that part. But yeah. Break that out. Yeah, man. Such a great album, man. Such a great album. What more can be said? It's classic. That's my number 2. It's literally a freaking perfect album, man. And of course, we all know what number 1 is. We began this ranking with the worst of the King Diamond albums being Abigail 2, and we're going to end it with a bang with the best of the King Diamond albums, Abigail. Yes, the best King Diamond album. Holy crap, you got the same lineup, you know, as you did on Fatal Portrait. And just checking here, man. Okay, Al Pacino made his debut on bass. Okay, so this would be the last album with Timmy Hansen on bass, you know. But yeah, man, this is a perfect album. Perfect album. What more can be said, you know? I mean, killer tracks like Sleepless Nights, you know? Lies. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong album. I'm sorry about that. But those are killer tracks anyways, too, from Conspiracy. No, we got The Arrival, Mansion in Darkness, The Family Ghost, July 7th, the 7th day of July, 1777. Excuse me there for stuttering over that. Omens, The Possession, Abigail, come on. Black Horseman, you know, perfect album. You know, perfect album. Yes. So yeah. Hate that. I gotta get better copies of these. But yes, Abigail comes in at number 1, and that's it for this album ranking video for Metalben's Chronicles. Hey man, if you want more of these videos, guess what? We're gonna do more of these videos, so keep it metal.